Okay, well, it is 2 o'clock. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Today is our 1905 OPAC Public Services webinar, or the first of our 2 devoted to our OPAC. And of course, you all know that have been here more than one upgrade webinar. It does sometimes migrate into a couple other areas because it shows up in different areas like admin or maybe on the patron side. I apologize if you've heard one of these or 2 before, but we do try to integrate as much as we can to cover the areas for everybody. And I know all the time it's not possible what to do. I am going to, this was happening earlier, there we go. To get to our agenda, we do have an agenda here that you can click, and that will get you to all the bugs that we are going to talk about today. As I was saying earlier, one of our What's New webinars that we had Tuesday and Wednesday have already been linked here. So if you weren't able to attend that, there is a easy access link to that webinar. It's just shy of 2 hours. Maybe you can fast forward a few options. We also have another upgrade note page, which we will put a lot of the same information in. We also have a link to the manual, to the release notes, to the new schema. Also, we are highlighting all the blog posts that pertain to 1905, so a quick access to those, as well as the recorded webinars. Oh, look, they're both here. Those both are recorded. And then there are all the links to the bugs. This page is where we'll add our questions and answers as people ask questions, and maybe we can't answer them, or we find it's super helpful to post it for everybody to see. For example, Andrew submitted a report in this morning's webinar that I think will be really helpful for other partners. So I'm going to put that in there also. If this is your first time coming to a upgrade webinar, welcome. We really appreciate your time coming to these, because it is great to have the knowledge before you go live of what you can share with your colleagues and maybe some new fun things you're looking forward to. Okay, let's get started. There is 2 ways you are muted, and that's for purpose. But if you do want to ask any questions, we have a chat box. Just make sure that chat is sent to panelists and attendees so everyone can see your question. And then we also have a Q&A box, which goes directly, both those chats go directly to Donna, and she can assist in answering those or shout at me to stop talking and I will help. So here we are. I'm going to start with, and the biggest question, I totally forgot. The biggest question, when are you getting upgraded? When is 1905 happening? 1905 is coming to you, unless you're an early adopter, which thank you for those early adopters. It is coming to you in December. This little side of your staff client over here will populate with a red box with the date of your upgrade. All we ask of you is to refresh your cache before you start the day on that fabulous first day of 1905. Well, I shouldn't even actually be in the staff client, because today I'm going to talk about the OPAC and the public services side. Oh, let's see if I'm going to log out of this account. I wonder how many people are using GDPR. Okay, so this is the OPAC. If there is something that you see that you're like, oh, I would love to have that on my OPAC, this is all something that can be easily done for you. Please submit a ticket. We had Lucas do this fabulous little clock blog post that it's all customizable. So please, if you see something, maybe you like this little, what are they called? GIFs or GIFs? I'm not sure.
The hours would be a widget, I think.
No, this little lady.
Oh, the lady? It's a GIF.
My son would call me a boomer. Like, that's what you call somebody who's, I guess, doesn't know tech stuff. If you do know tech stuff, you're called a Zoomer. So just something to learn when you have a teenage son.
Well, we're all Zoomers right now.
And who watches Twitch. Yeah, I guess it has something to do with Twitch too, which who knew about that? Okay, so if anybody is using authority records within Koha prior to 1905, there was not a little magnifying glass for subject headings in the 655. So that was resolved in this newest update, which is super exciting. So let's go ahead and pull up something that has a subject heading in the 655. I'm just going to use the quick link right over to, maybe I won't use that quick link over to the bib. Interesting. Let me just do this. Very odd. Let us see. Not quite what I was looking for here. I don't think these are going to have it. 53345. Okay, let's just look up fantasy fiction. Let's go here. Fantasy fiction.
I bet you that's one of the records you deleted, Kelly.
Probably. I'm really good at deleting things that I need. Oh, let's go to the Lord of the Rings sound recording. There it is. So that's a 655 tag that now has a little magnifying glass. And if you can see the very bottom of my screen, hold on, let me move my dock over here. There we go. I'm zooming. You can see on the very bottom, the URL has my authority number, which will link me to other 655 authorities with the 459. So that's really helpful for those libraries using authority records and helping your patrons.
And you have made Heather's day. She's done. She doesn't need anything else.
Ooh, yes, got it. Another thing which I actually didn't have a clue wasn't here, the drop-down search bar now includes an ISSN search. I put too many S's there. ISSN search. Prior to 1905, it wasn't there. So you can quick search using an ISS number. And then I forgot the N. So that's pretty fun. Another thing that this is more, maybe people noticed, maybe people didn't notice. I noticed and I appreciate this. This is, something super fun. If before, when I search something in the catalog as a patron, and I'm going to use Andrew Searches Batman, prior to 1905, you had like a weird, not weird, you had a unique kind of breadcrumb here, and it would identify kind of a Koha way of looking for that phrase. They've made this so it doesn't look like it's Greek and made it just straight up results of search for Batman. Before it said KW and then Wordle, pretty much was what it said. So just a cleaner OPAC, won't confuse patrons. And it's what you're doing. You're searching for Batman. So that's really what it says.
A lot of positive vibes from this one.
Yep. So it's with the OPAC, I believe it's the more simpler way, as we know we're working with patrons and we want it to be clean and really helpful to them. Okay, we are going to pop on over to the staff client, which is, remember what I said, we're going to integrate a few of these because for bug 14272, allow OPAC to show a single news entry. Now this was sponsored by Catalyst. Don't think that's on my list. You can now take a news item and use that URL on another page. And I'll explain a little bit better. When I go into the news, the tools and hit news, we create things to talk about to our users. So we have this little GIF, which is part of the news. So you can see it's in the OPAC, it's in that news section. With this introduction, we can take this URL that this news is showing on and actually share it and have people be able to use that URL in other areas. And this website page will stay active even after it's expired. So you can see there is this right here. Maybe I should make it a little bigger. Can't. You can see I have a expired news feature is on its own. We have the ability to show it. Click this link, grab it for you, and I'll show you how you can grab your own link. So I'll give you a look at what our existing staff client looks like here. So that news feature that is expired is no longer showing on here. However, we have a URL that we can use and share maybe in a newsletter, some more information. So here's my secret news page. So this is going to show on its own page. This URL is driven from the actual news ID number, which I'll show you how you can find, and you can share it outside of the OPAC and have information exist here. So let me pop back over to our news. If I go into edit here, this is my secret page. I can see I'm working with that ID number 6. So I would take my URL, and then that is the URL. If I needed to change it to another ID, I could do that. So it's great to be able to share this link and not worry about it expiring the information. If you had a newsletter or any other reason why you wanted to share something from your OPAC news outside of Koha, you have a URL to use. Not understanding this part. Oh, I'm sorry. So this is the ability to share a news feature from your OPAC through a URL outside if you wanted to publish it somewhere else.
So for instance, Kelly, if I had a book group and I don't necessarily want to have that news item always showing on my homepage, I could go ahead and create a quote, secret news item that my book group could always click on and see that information.
Exactly.
Instead of having to have a separate web page or something on my homepage or something like that.
Right, exactly. And if you're not using the news feature, please look at how great my little news feature is. It's just something, this is your news feature right here, this center area. So you can communicate things to your patrons, you know, big events. And as Donna saying, if there's an event that is, you know, the specific group of people needed to see, there's a way to do that. Okay. Another thing that has to do with the news feature is the system preference OPAC nav right is being removed from Koha, and the power of what appears on your OPAC, the right-hand side, so right here where it says Koha is awesome, is now driven from your tools news portion, which is great because you don't need to know HTML. When it was a system preference, you had to know your formatting, you had to, you know, be able to do that HTML code to make it format correctly because it was a true HTML format. Now that it's moved over into the news module, you now have the ability to just use that little word editor and be able to write what you want, make things bold, add things, and not worry about knowing HTML. So if you've used the news feature or if you haven't, within the news feature, you determine where the information displays. So the new area is this OPAC nav right. So that's that area right under your login box. That's your OPAC nav right. if you are currently using OPAC Nav Right and have information, I've seen Twitter feeds, I've seen Facebook feeds, I've seen links, all that will be moved over to the tools news feature for you in Koha 1905. That will be done. However, if you have never explored the idea of using that right-hand side for any information, it's all at your fingertips. It's all accessible. It's all something you can do yourself. So if I go ahead and use that OPAC Nav Right option of the display location, I could put in, let's see, what should I write? Kelly. Again, another great thing is you can have a publish and expired on, so it will be removed after a certain amount of days, and you don't have to remember to go back into there. Let's do this. We'll just make it for a week. Oh, winter. Winter is coming. Winter is coming. I know it's coming for the New England people. I think we're getting snow this weekend. I can make it bold. I could link it out to something. So I have the ability to do all of what I can do in this word editor without having to know HTML. Oh my gosh, it's snowing right now in Vermont. Thank goodness I moved all the way to Maine. So then I can go ahead and hit submit. Okay, now let's pop on over because it's just so instant. I'll refresh my screen. And there it is. Winter is coming. So this definitely gives you lots of flexibility. I want to say if you are loving this, OPAC, Nav, other areas are actually moving to the tools feature in the next release. So this is kind of a merge over to the news feature from the system preferences, giving more power to the users that, like myself, don't know HTML and allowing me to be able to edit my my OPAC without that knowledge. So pretty cool.
And so Kelly, we just had a couple of questions. So these news features only show on this main OPAC page. Yes. Marty does have a question. When all of that moves, are they going to have to reformat the stuff they already have in HTML? That just carries straight over, right?
Carry straight over because you can actually use HTML within the news widget. So if there is a way to plop in HTML if you wanted to do that instead. So it's going to come over as an HTML block, and this feature knows how to use that block. Yeah, there are people that have tons of stuff in that OPAC Nav Rights. We have been assured by Lucas, who has looked at the code, and he works within the release of Koha versions. I'm not sure what his exact role is, but he is one of those people that looks at this stuff before it gets pushed in. So he does that. However, if there is something that does appear off, please let us know. We're happy to help you. Okay. Let us move back over to the OPAC because there is something new with the subscription module within the 1905 version. Prior to 1905, the location of your serials did not appear, and now it does. So this is pretty cool. Let me pull up a subscription. So here under my subscription tab, this is new. I never knew this wasn't here, but it wasn't. And somebody submitted it to the community and made it happen. So remember, the power is yours, the power to make this happen. So what the location that you set your serial at when you're setting up a subscription will now appear in the subscription tab on the OPAC. Wow, the cheering is just blowing me away. Okay.
We are all just speechless, Kelly. We just don't know about it.
I know. A couple other little display things that have been made clearer or nicer is if you are using the article request option, you now have, it's a little bit clearer. Oh man, I'm so sorry. I had to turn this on. We'll talk about this in a second. Okay, so now I have to go back. That's something we should file a bug for. It should bring you back to where you were. Okay, so can't request this as an article. Batman always wins. Okay, so we have a request article. I'm not sure how many libraries are using request article, but it's just gotten a little bit clearer. This detail breadcrumb is a little bit clearer where it wasn't before. As well, if the user cannot request a article because the article request works on your circulation and fine rules, and it works by patron and item type. So if for some reason your user clicks request article, the alert is a little bit clearer that no article requests can be made for this record. I think that it was a weirdly formatted look before, and now it's a little bit nicer. I wonder how many people are using article requests.
Yeah, just out of curiosity, if you are using article requests, just pop something into chat. We're just taking an informal survey, curious to see how many people use that. We also have theories about which libraries use that. I'm thinking definitely libraries like Heather's would use it. Oh, no one's ever requested one. That's sad. Okay.
Well, the options are there. That's all that matters. You are giving them the power.
Yeah. I'm thinking that this is something that's probably done, just from our experience, we see it done in special libraries, medical libraries, law libraries, and some academics.
Yeah.
I've not seen this at all in a public library. So just always curious to see who's using it and what their experiences are. So cool, thanks.
Yeah, and really, in my opinion, the more libraries that use it, the more love it will get. Or if you're not using it and there's a reason, then that should be submitted to the community to make your case on what needs to be worked into that function to make it better for your library specifically. I've been, using co-op for I think 7 years, and the amount of things that have changed in 7 years is just absolutely mind-blowing. Okay, now we have a couple of options for the OPAC when your patron is logged in for password recovery and resetting passwords. I'm not sure if some libraries are not using this or they are using this, but this was really, this modification has been made light for those academics that would like to give the option to specific patrons to allow them to change their password through the OPAC or reset their password through the OPAC, but they didn't want everybody because of different reasons, single sign-on, LDAP. Well, now, because of a sponsor by Virginia Tech, we now have these functions that are ability to say what patrons can change their password on the OPAC, what patrons can reset their password on the OPAC, which is awesome, so great. So you can see I do have a change my password feature here. This is where it will show up if you allow them overall. And then also let me log out of this account so you can see my reset forgot password. And I have this forgot password. These are both system preferences and always have been. Now, let me pop over to the staff side and show you how you can determine that by patron category. So I'm gonna head back over to the staff client, and we're gonna go over to the admin to patron categories, and they've added some options there. So here's our admin. We're going to pop over to patron categories, and I'm going to go ahead and hit edit. So within a patron category, so I'm in my adult patron category, I have some new options. Password reset in OPAC. There's an allow, not allowed, or actually just follow that system preference that is already created. So you can see my system preference is disabled, which means I can allow them without turning on that system preference. So it's pretty awesome. And both password change and password reset are both now living in patron category, so you can pick and choose. Yes, only for patron categories at this time. It's not an individual level. Okay, so that's pretty cool. Pretty big news for those academics out there. Pretty big.
So Kelly, what's the difference between change and reset?
Change and reset. Where is it?
In passwords.
So
you've got password reset and password change.
So if I'm logged into the OPAC, I change my password. So say the library created my account and said, it's your last 4 digits of your phone number, and then I can go home and change it. If I go home and go, I don't remember what she said my password was, that would be reset. That would be forgot my password. So this is, oh, wrong URL. This is reset. And once I'm logged in, I have the ability to change. Good question.
Oh, so Marty has a good question. Does the option appear if they don't have an email, or does it auto hide?
Forgot password? I think it's going to show up.
I think it's going to show up no matter what.
Yep.
Oh, for change.
Having an email address shouldn't affect your change process, because when I go into change, and we'll go in there because there is some new display changes here when you go to change, I'm logged in. So all I'm doing is adding my current password and then adding a new password and retyping that new password. So they're not going to email me anything. So this look got changed as well. Prior to 1811 and prior to 1905, it didn't say change password, it said submit password. And I think that was confusing to some libraries. So now you have it says change password instead of submit. And then this is going to kill me when I have to do this, Donna. If I do change it, I'm going to forget it.
Taking bets if she's going to remember this or not.
Writing it down. It used to say return to your record, and now it says return to your account, which is more clear as well. So again, little changes, but we're making it better for the patron. So put your patron hat on when you're looking at this and say, how can this be better? How will my patrons understand? Same terminology throughout Koha is really important in my opinion, especially for both Donna and I who have to go out on site and educate. Terminology is huge. Okay. Let's give a shout out. Who's using GDPR? I mean, US hasn't really adopted this yet. It's more of a European. Oh, wow. Kansas.
Excellent. CKLSs.
Wow. So
GDPR is one of those things that I think more libraries should be using, because there is just such an acknowledgement now of making sure patrons know what we are doing with their information. So I think that more libraries are going to catch that on, and hopefully they'll follow Chuckle's example.
Yeah, so if you did not know that Koha has made the ability to have GDPR turned on or turned off on your OPAC, that was introduced in 1811. There have been some new enhancements made to GDPR to change it. It is
Kelly, you're being a librarian, so what does GDPR stand for? Do you know? I do.
It's called something. Hold on, I think it's here.
It is it's the European Union. No, it doesn't show most places. It's the European Union General Data Protection Regulation. So basically, it's a very fancy way to say it's the privacy to make sure that everyone knows what is being done with your information when you log on to a website. So General Data Protection Regulation.
Way to go, Donna. Gold star for you.
Woohoo!
So, yeah, gold star for Donna. Gold star. So this has been here since 1811, is you can turn this on or turn this off, which means when a user logs in, if you have this turned on, the patron has to agree to the policy, the privacy policy that you have submitted and say, yes, I understand how you're using my personal data. So that was in 1811. Now they actually have a way to handle when a patron says, no, I don't agree. So before they could say yes or no. Yes, they can continue on to their account. No, that means they're not going to want their account existing anymore because they don't agree with the privacy rules. So let me pop over to the system preferences because we've added a few system preferences with this, as we always like to do. It is called, well, let me just show you the GDPR preference. So this would need to be set to either enforced or permissive to use the next system preference I'm going to show you. If you have this disabled, this system preference will not pertain to your library. The difference between enforced and permissive is enforced is when you saw it on my page when I went to log in, I could not get past that page until I accepted it. Permissive is it's going to hang out on the side that I can either accept it or not, but it's not kind of glaring in my face. To actually use this system preference, you also need to have a URL in the next system preference directing those patrons to your privacy policy. Okay, now let's go to the new one that OHA has introduced. So we have 3 in 1, really. Once you have turned this on, this will be something they would have to consent to on their first login once it's turned on. Yes. So this is handling if a user says no. You can determine when you are going to lock out the patron after so many days. Then you can also anonymize those locked patrons after X number of days. So all these are separate fields that you can make it kind of like a 3-tier process on how you're handling a no to this question. And then lastly, you have how many days do you want to actually remove them from your system?
And so, Kelly, if someone does start using that GDPR, that only comes up the first time they log in.
Yes.
And then after that, it maintains that remembrance of that,
Yep.
right?
Yep. So once I turn this to gone on, it will ask me. And that's what it did because I turned it on right before this webinar.
And then Marty's asking about the anonymized in the context of the GDPR. So when is it actually, what is it doing with that patron account?
It is going to go through the cleanup database cron job. So it is, the anonymization means that that information of that patron has become anonymized using your anonymized patron little character in your database. So they are no longer linked to those. And then removal will mean you're deleting those. Do they live in the deleted borrowers table? Yes. I'm going to say yes, they do. Until maybe you clean out your deleted borrowers table?
That sounds right.
Yeah, we'll find out more. Where's Andrew when we need him? Yes. Anonymizing will mean their CERT data goes away off their account. No. This is with GDPR, you are telling the patrons how you are handling their information. If a patron says, I don't accept your policy on my privacy, and they say no, then this system preference will come into place on when each step, when you lock them out of their account, when you anonymize their data, and when you remove them from your system.
So basically this was a response to the EDU having to first say, this is what we do with your data. And then when the patron says, I don't agree with this, I don't want to use your site, there needed to be some mechanism in place so that staff didn't have to manually go through and find all those people that said, no, I don't agree. And basically I want to unsubscribe, I want my account deleted. So this is what these features are all for, is it goes ahead and says, anyone who says they don't agree with what we've stated as our policy, they're going to get removed from the system.
Absolutely.
And that is correct, Mary Beth. If the patron never logs into the OPAC, they would never agree to the GDPR, but they also would not be deleted either.
Correct, correct. So,
and
I
you
mean,
turn one on without the other. You can say no, you can allow patrons to say no, I don't agree, but you don't have to set these unsubscribe ones. They would just be held in there.
Right. So, and that's what it's saying is if these fields are left empty, nothing's going to happen. You actually have to put data in these fields for this 3-tier process to start in effect. So right now the default will be blank because it's up to your library policy on what you're going to handle and how you're going to handle this information. So again, there's no default. Your GDPR is not turned on by default. You would have to turn that on, and then you would have to come into this system preference and decide. And probably for a lot of libraries is really, you know, what, talk to your board and figure out what you want to do. But it gives you so much flexibility on how you handle it, which leads me into the next step is if you are locking your patrons, if you lock them using the system preference, your staff will not be able to log them and change their password for them. It will not allow them to do that. So that would be 21533. Right, if you do not use any of these, it's really up to you. I don't know if the US has really pushed this at this point. It's really a European thing. It sounds like Chuckles is doing it. Of all the people that are here today, maybe they're the only library system. And I would be interested to hear what they're doing and what they're going to do with this information.
You know, Kelly, I know you and Jay-Z do the Monday Minutes. That might be a great topic for Monday Minutes with a guest speaker from Chuckles to talk about what they're doing.
Maybe we should. That's a good idea. Who's with?
I know.
Thanks. Let's see. Oh, Mary Beth. Okay. Well, maybe Mary Beth will be receiving an email. Yeah. I mean, this is one of those areas that I do believe will have to get more information out there as this gets kind of bigger for the US to know. Oh, good. Mary Beth would be happy to. But again, it's not going to be just set it and go. You would need to have some serious conversation on how you want to proceed. Okay. Any other questions about this fabulous acronym that I have forgotten what it means again? Great. So what have we learned? You can turn on this and you can use these, or you don't have to use these. This is all options, all customizable. Oh, sorry about that. You saw that? Okay. I am going to, can I just change that really quick so I don't have to worry about this GDPR? I wonder how many people use those star ratings that if you allow look, I forgot my password. If you allow your users to make star ratings on items. So if I read There Goes a Race Car, I have some great books that I've read in this catalog, and you have this ability to allow your user to say 5 out of 5 stars or 3 out of 5 stars within the OPAC. This has now connected over to your reading history tab in your account summary as a patron. So if I look at my account summary and go to my reading history, I actually can see what I rated, how many stars, and when I did. That's pretty cool, huh? There, you can see, there goes a race car. I rated a 5-star DVD on the November. That was it. Now you actually can go back and go, what did I like that I read recently? And I know if you're one of those librarians that do a lot of reading, and once you read a book, it's almost gone out of your mind because you're on to the next one. What have I read lately that's a 5-star book, you know?
And so Kelly, and obviously just to point out the obvious, if you are not keeping your reading history as a patron, obviously this would not be there for you.
No, absolutely, Donna. You could still, maybe you just use Goodreads instead. Or a little notebook. I know so many people that use a little notebook. Okay. Maybe a reason to turn on reading history. Under the fines tab, if you have fines and you are showing your patrons your fines, you can now sort on the amount. You can change the way they're showing in this field. A lot of these have always been sortable, but now we can actually sort them on the date. So I can look at the oldest fine that I haven't paid or the newest fine I haven't paid, you know, all of the above. But these little arrows are super helpful. Prior to this, you couldn't do that. Okay. I remember when I introduced the self-check-in module. What was that, 1811 or was that 1805, I wonder? And I'm not sure of how many people are using the self-check-in module, but we do have a Koha self-check-in module, and this has now upgraded its look. So a little bit of CSS prettiness that has happened to this self-check-in. The little button has gotten prettier, just some enhancements here. So if you've never seen this kind of self-check-in module, I'll go ahead and just check something in. There's my barcode, check in. And there you go. So just making it pretty. All these like little CSS changes, I've really enjoyed seeing it kind of grow. Now, also the self-checkout got a makeover. Let me tell you all about that. Let's see, where is my self checkout. Not here. I think I can just change this URL.
Kelly, quick question, and I'm going to make a presumption here. We didn't see the title when you checked it in. Do we think that's because of the bug that's out there right now?
Maybe.
So we do know that there is a bug that's preventing some of the titles showing up as far as check-in and check-out. And that may be what the self-check-in is, but we'll definitely take a look and see what's going on with that, why those titles are not showing up on self-check-in if they're supposed to or not.
Who knows? Who knows what it is? I was just gonna pop over there, but yeah, we'll find out if it always has. If anyone has seen that. I forgot my password again already. I'm so bad.
I'll go ahead and check it while you move on, Kelly.
Okay, thank you. I'm getting errors all over. Okay, let me go to the self-checkout because thank you for some new changes to the self-checkout module. You now have the ability to see new holds and your fines if you are using the Koha self-checkout module, which before you couldn't. And that is a development by Portsmouth Public Library to add the holds and account information. So if I use my card number to log in to the Koha self-checkout, I actually now have the ability to see holds that I have, and I have a little exclamation point that actually shows if the item is waiting for me. So if I opted to go over to the self-checkout module and didn't talk to the librarian, this will actually say, hey, you got something over here. And then also I have this, my fines listed as well on my self-checkout module. When I check something out, I owe money. Always. Let me log out of this one. Finish. Nope, I don't need a receipt. Andrew, 298743.
You got it.
What was that? Did everyone hear that? You can actually use audio alerts in your self-checkout module as well to let your patrons know that they have successfully checked something out. If you did not hear it the first time, I will do it again. Let me turn it on.
You got it.
Perfect. Perfect. You also have the ability to see what you've checked out today. So you have a little new, so you can see your new checkouts versus your older checkouts. I remember, you know, like going, how many did I check out today? Now you can easily see which ones you see. So this is coming in 1905, super fun and exciting. So thank you to Portsmouth Public Library for making fines and holds appear in the self-checkout module of Koha. And the audio alerts is something that's configurable to within your administration that now works in the self-checkout module. So that's pretty fun as well. Okay. The last thing I have to talk about is I have Mana on my agenda. So has anyone heard or watched the other upgrade webinars that have to do with Mana? I believe that we're just going to talk about this as a public services kind of thing, is that there is now a great new knowledge base that's being connected into Koha when we upgrade to 1905, allowing users, librarians to share subscription patterns and reports. So if you have not heard of this and you have not watched the new upgrade, we have a couple blog posts about Mana. I always say it wrong, and I'm going to apologize to probably Paul Poulain if I meet him again, or Chris, what's his last name? the gentleman in New Zealand because he would know the correct pronunciation. But again, it is the ability to share within the community. So we're really excited about, we have 3 blog posts on how to set it up, how to use it in both the reports module and the serials module. So if you have not had the opportunity to hear about that, watch one of those blog posts. It's a one-time setup for each library system. So it's a global sign up, and then you can share or get other community members' subscription patterns and reports. So really exciting. Either you can share what you've created within the reports module and the serials module, or you can import other people's reports and subscription patterns from Mana into your system. So it's a really cool new fun thing that we can do. And I'll give you a for anyone who's using serials, they can do that in serials. I'll pull it over into reports and how easy that is to look within Mana's knowledge base and import a report. So I'm sure a lot of you have used the reports module and you have this new SQL for Mana. So this will be coming in your 1905. So if you want to search for a report in Mana, I'm going to say it wrong every time, and I look up for a report about lost, if I wanted to see what reports were out there, I now can actually see other reports that lived in the Koha report wiki. I can see the SQL when I hover, and I can easily go ahead and let's go, that's a good one. Okay, import this one, and it will bring it right in there. I don't have to go to the Koha report wiki and copy and paste and bring it over to Koha. I can easily go ahead and import it. We also reached out to partners that we know had a plethora of reports that were really handy, and also libraries that were using the serials module. So this would be specific to people using the serials module. We reached out to ask if we could also share those with Mana to make Mana, the knowledge base, more robust. So thank you to those who, if we reached out to you and you said, yes, thank you, thank you, thank you, because we want to be able to have the best data. One last thing about Mana is they are, the Koha community is looking for some curators to curate the data that is being imported and shared within Mana to make sure that it is good data. Because if there are reports out there that maybe possibly don't work, or a subscription pattern from the serials module that is maybe not correct, then we have curators that they are looking for curators to help moderate that. Because again, you don't want to import something that may not work in your system.
And Kelly, if someone does want to help curate, who do they contact?
I would say probably I would reach out to the Koha community. So maybe go on the web person for the partner, who they should be reaching out to, and then we'll get that information. Do you know who asked, Donna?
Marty.
Okay, Marty. Yeah, we'll find out, and we'll put that in our Q&A as well, if there is a direct person or they want to just for people to submit to the Koha. I don't know, community person, whoever that person is, or the release manager, or Paul himself. I'm not sure.
I have a feeling that it's being run through BibLib in France, that Paul will probably be the person that's the contact, but we'll up and are really kind of getting it going. So I'm imagining right now they're going to be the ones that are kind of get those curators set up.
Still holding on to it. It's like their baby, I'm sure.
Oh, absolutely. And it's an amazing baby.
It's an amazing baby. So again, there is information that out there through the Koha website. There's documentation also through Paul and BibLib, but I believe that watching the tutorial videos that Donna and I created together, you'll be able to handle that. So does anyone have any questions about OPAC and public services in 1905?
So while everyone is writing their questions in, I'll ask you my standard question. what is your favorite part or enhancement besides Mana in OPAC and public services in 1905, Kelly?
I'm really happy with the self-checkout module. To have holds and finds there is really handy. And just the little icons that you have a hold waiting and the little new, that's really great to have, because don't pay for a self-checkout module if Koha has it and it's just as pretty.
Yes. Mine's a small one, but it's one of my favorite things, is that when you are searching, instead of doing the TI:phrase,
Yeah.
Wordle : Batman or whatever, it just says, you search for Batman. And I love that, because it was very confusing for patrons. It's just like, I didn't search for that. So I like those little enhancements that, like you said, just make it so much clearer for our patrons and doesn't really confuse them. So I really do like that one.
Absolutely.
It's a little one, but
yeah, exactly. Sometimes it's the little things, I hate to, poo-poo the big things like GDPR, but like, that's never going to be my fave. Let me just tell you, maybe it's going to be your fave.
I do. I love the possibilities with GDPR. I really do. But privacy is one of my soapboxes, so that's one that I definitely look at. All right, so we'll give folks just another minute or so as they're typing any last questions in. What's next on our schedule for upgrade webinars, Kelly?
Great question, Donna. Webinar schedule, here we come. So our next webinar, what's today, the 7th, is another OPAC in public services tomorrow at 11 o'clock.
And that was being led by Andrew.
And that's being led by Andrew. So you'll get a whole different experience, because he and I are both completely different people. And then we move on to next week. We aren't doing anything on Veterans Day because maybe your library is closed, or it's a Monday. So who really wants to watch a webinar on a Monday? And then we move on to another patrons in CERC. Then we're going to have like back-to-back technical services, which are so fun. And I'm sure Heather will be there. So we've got another full week next week coming up. 1905, here we come.
And then this time next week, we will be done with all of them. So
I know.
Lots to do.
Lots to do.
They're all recorded, so y'all can watch them at your leisure. Friday nights, nothing else on TV. Baseball's over. What are you going to watch? You can pull up some of those webinars and take a look. So
yes, our one of my water and chill. Exactly.
My water and chill.
Yeah. I know somebody who watches us like Netflix during this week. So, get your popcorn and do it scandal style, and maybe have a glass of red wine and watch.
And no pressure on you, Kelly, but Heather is really looking forward to the technical service one.
Shush. Yeah, my popcorn. Yeah, my fave. You guys get me so nervous. Don't get me nervous.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you all, and thank you, Kelly. Another excellent webinar.
Thanks, Heather. We love you too. We love everybody who comes to these and makes it fun and asks us questions. And thank you, Donna. Thank you, Donna.
All right.
Oh,
good. I love that.
Yes.
And gold stars for everyone who showed up today.
Yeah.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye. I'm closing it down.